Good evening, YouTube friends and family. Hope everyone's doing well. So, wanted to do a quick load board update. There's been a viewer interested in Phoenix, and it's kind of funny because just yesterday I was looking and there wasn't a whole lot there. Looking now, there's quite a bit there. But here's the thing. What they're doing, the reason the load board always looks dry is they are putting a whole bunch of work. Almost half of what you see on the load board are these blocks. This is why the Phoenix market looks so dry. It's 66 blocks. And so for those of you that aren't familiar, basically they assign you a work block. So, excuse me. So this first one is basically what they would call it's a solo 2. Single driver works for 2 shifts.
Single driver.
So you put in a driver, he puts in a full shift, gets a 10-hour break, and then another full shift. And so for basically 2 days worth of work, they pay you $17.24. And that's what the majority of these are. And some of them are even cheaper. There's $15.68. Some people like these blocks because you could kind of lock down work and have guaranteed work. I kind of don't like them because I can sometimes find loads where I'll make this $15.68 in one day in a 24-hour period. And then I can book another one the following day. So I'd rather take my chances and go book some high-paying loads. But if you want to work local, be home every night, Phoenix, from a real estate standpoint, is a little bit cheaper. And so you can own a very nice home for less money in Phoenix. And so I get that part. I mean, it could work for some. Anyway, that's what's up with the blocks.
Let's play. Yeah, let's play.
I'll be right there, Dan. And so if we take away the blocks, you have 56 results. There's a lot of teamwork. And so the team loads are paying, $1.64. So, I won't go too into them. Team loads are pretty obvious what they are. They put the truck on a schedule. I'll open one up so you can kind of see what this entails. So you're going to do a whole bunch of drop and hook. That's what each one of these numbers represents. I'll put it up on a map so you guys can see. So, you go from 1 to 2, and then you go all the way up into, looks like you're going into Washington for 3. Then it looks like you're coming down like towards Salt Lake City for 4. And so that's kind of they run the crud out of you. We did a couple of these. The revenue seems high. And so we were like, hey, let's jump on them. But so you start off in Phoenix. You do a short move within Phoenix. You drop the trailer, grab another one in Phoenix. Then you head out to Kent, Washington. You drop in Kent, Washington. Then you go to West Jordan, Utah. From West Jordan, Utah, you go back to Portland, Oregon. Drop in Portland, Oregon. Grab another one, go down to San Bernardino. From San Bernardino, you go to Salt Lake City. And then from Salt Lake City, you come back to Phoenix. It's a lot of running. Like I said, we did a couple of them because it seemed to generate a lot of revenue. I don't think we did it for $1.62 a mile. So the allure is, in 6 days, you generate almost $9,000 worth of revenue. I think when we took these, a 6-day load was more like 12,000. And so it's gotten cheaper. But the thing you need to consider is you're burning fuel day and night. Anyway, so that's a whole lot of
How come you're not going
what's there. That's a whole lot of the work that's coming out of the Phoenix area. As you can see, it's tons and tons of team loads. We'll switch it up to some of the we'll do some solo here. So there's 3 solo loads. That's a one-way going from Phoenix to Salt Lake City. Excuse me. There's a Phoenix going to Columbia and another one going to Columbia. $209 a mile for 2,000 miles. Then let's switch it over to trailer required. There's a load going to Charleston, Tennessee, and one going to Reno, Nevada. And so that's kind of what the Phoenix market looks like. Don't see anything for box trucks. I think I remember one of the viewers had just bought a box truck, or he was about to, and he's going to try and work in Phoenix. And I'm like, man, I don't think I've seen any box truck work in Phoenix. At least not enough to say you're going to stay busy. But that's the Phoenix market. I'm not sure why I have Houston up there. I didn't think I had someone asking me. So here's Cleveland, Ohio. There is quite a few loads there. You got 160 loads. I'm not sure what this means here at the first one. Okay, so this is an off-site location. But it's in Erie. So what that typically means is you're going to go to either a cross-dock location or something like that. It's probably not a regular facility. And so that's going to Memphis, or MEM1 as they call it. This particular load's 832 miles at almost $3 a mile. That's not too shabby. And here's another one with a weird name, Streets. What is it with the names in these places? But it's a vendor. And so that one's going to North Carolina. Pays $275 a mile for 509 miles. $1,400 total. Fuzzy Berm. I don't get why they're naming these locations so oddball. Anyway, so that's 477 miles. And this one's a booby trap, guys. So you see how it says 3 days, 4 hours? You'll pick up this load thinking, hey, I'll get there in the same day. You'll show up and they won't let you unload until you're scheduled to unload on the 11th. I wouldn't touch that one. They won't care at the receiving location. They'll just tell you to go away, that they're too busy, they can't schedule you in. I'd let that one sit. I've lived that experience. And so there's another one, and this one's going to take 14 hours. So, that one's going to Pennsylvania. There's a load from Hudson. It's 1,070 miles going to Florida. $263 a mile, which is cheap for Florida. There's another one heading out, 513 miles going to Charlotte, North Carolina, $210 a mile. 664 miles heading to Fall River, Massachusetts for $287 a mile. There's 1,083 miles heading to Lakeland, Florida for $266 a mile. There's 518 miles heading to New York, $219 a mile. There's 392 miles heading to Maryland for $227 a mile. I imagine overnight these are going to go up, guys, if people don't take them. Only my plan is to actually be sleeping tonight instead of pulling crackhead status, reviewing these loads. There's 392 miles at $227 per mile, also heading to Maryland. You have 627 miles heading to Fall River for $222 a mile. There's 3132 miles heading to Henderson, Nevada, which is basically Las Vegas, at $213 per mile, $4,500. I think there's an issue there. They say you're going to be there in a day and 4 hours, and so that one could pose a problem. You may get there and not have an appointment. There's 634 miles heading to New York at $282 per mile. There's 509 miles heading to New York, also for $207 a mile. There's 1,070 miles heading to Florida at $263 per mile. There's 664 heading to Fall River. Quite a few loads going to Fall River. $287 per mile. There's 466 miles heading to Burlington, New Jersey at $226 per mile. There's 1,083 miles heading to Florida. Excuse me. $255 per mile. There's 462 miles heading to Virginia at $215 per mile. You have 627 miles heading to Fall River, Massachusetts, $276 per mile. So it's busy, at least for the trailer provided. These are, trailer required. So these are all loads where you have to bring your own trailer, guys. And honestly, it's the way we run. There's a box truck. So it looks like we've got a handful of box trucks here for the box truck guys. There's 115 miles at $226 per mile heading to Pittsburgh. There's 212 miles at $184 per mile. I can't tell where that's supposed to be going. Oh, this is a multiple stop. Yeah, this one has quite a few stops. So you're going to end in North Webster, Indiana. There's another box truck for 147 miles at $220 per mile. Another box truck, 133 miles at $238 per mile. Another box truck, 176 miles for $188 per mile. Another box truck at 141 miles at $224 per mile. There's another box truck for 154 miles at $225 per mile. Obviously this area is hot for box trucks. There's another one, 186 miles for $177 per mile. There's 145 miles for $217 per mile. There's another box truck, 147 miles for $208 per mile. And so as you can see, there's quite a bit of box truck. If you're interested in box truck for that market, looks pretty good. This is now into Tuesday, And so we're still looking at trailer required. These rates are going to be a little bit weaker than they should be because they'll go up the night before. And so I'm not going to dig into them too deep. But you can see there's a couple more trailer required, a couple more box loads, quite a few box truck load actually. And so the thing I haven't seen here, guys, is I haven't seen a whole lot of power only. And so we're all the way into Wednesday. Let me change the filter and see if we can see some power only, because I know for a lot of the semi trucks, a lot of you guys are interested in power only, which in my opinion, you make more money when you bring your own trailer. And so there's 31 results, and I guess we did hit these. I just didn't realize they were power only loads. But they end up being like in the 196, 195 range, 194, which isn't too shabby for power only, at least according to Amazon. $1.95, $1.81. There's 211. But all right, that's our Cleveland market. We looked at, someone asked for San Marcos. San Marcos is typically quiet. There's 55 loads. And so these are power only. So you have 1,032 miles heading to Phoenix, 209 a mile. There's another one going to Phoenix, 209 a mile. There's one going to Tucson, 219 a mile. There's one going to Phoenix, 209 a mile. Another one to Tucson, 219. Tucson at 219. Phoenix, 209. Tucson, 209. This is a round trip, 342 miles at 171 per mile. Another round trip at 231 per mile. And a load going to New Orleans. Someone asked about the New Orleans area. It's really quiet over there. Anyway, there's a $1.49 going to New Orleans, or should I say Nowlands. Let's change this up to required. And there's 36 loads. These are when you bring your own trailer. This going from San Antonio to, why does that say Humble, Texas? I think that's by Houston. Anyway, 213 miles at 440 per mile. You know, that's not a bad deal. That's a pretty short haul. It'll take you 5 hours to do, and you get almost $1,000. I'd do that. There's a load going to Eastland, Texas, 230 miles, 165 per mile. There's one going to Dublin, Texas, 220 miles at 172 per mile. There's 216 miles going to Clyde, Texas at 163 per mile. There's 238 miles heading to, I'm not even sure how to pronounce that, Lippen, Texas, 146 per mile. There's a box truck, 205 miles at 159 per mile. There's another box truck, 185 miles for 160 per mile. There's another box truck, 230 miles at 146 per mile. There's another box truck for 202 miles at 163 per mile. There's 220 miles box truck for 152 per mile. There's another one at 238 miles for 135 per mile. There's 205 miles for 145 per mile. These box trucks are pretty cheap. There's 236 miles for 132 per mile. There's 185 miles for 159 per mile. There's 230 miles for 146 per mile. And we're into Thursday now, but as you can see, there is some box truck activity. Pretty cheap in my opinion. I think box truck loads are just really, really cheap, guys. It's just kind of how I feel about it. However, one of the viewers was going to get a demo for an application that's tied to a load board, and they do like the expediter vans and the box trucks. I'm hoping he gives some feedback and see what it's all about. You know, if it's something that you don't have to necessarily pay for, I'd consider getting it just so I can demonstrate it and help you guys see what it is. But it kind of sounds like they charge you some sort of fee. Hopefully that viewer comes back and shares with us what he found. So this is the San Marcos market. Salt Lake City, someone had asked me about that. You'll have to excuse me, guys. My sinuses are acting up. Every time I come home and I come through Arizona, there's something out in the desert that just, it gets to me. Anyways, and so here we're talking about trailer required. We'll start with that. And there's 0 results. Let's see if they have any blocks. And there's no results. So let's remove some filters. See if they have anything. So there's 54. These are going to be trailer provided teams. And so if you have a truck with 2 beds and you don't mind sharing with a buddy, $1.60 a mile, $1.89 a mile, $1.61 a mile, $1.84 a mile, $1.35 a mile, $1.38 a mile, $1.50 a mile, $1.61 a mile, $1.30 a mile. Yeah, I'm not a fan of the team loads. Amazon just doesn't, they don't treat people right on them, I don't think. There's a block. You know, this is one of the better paid blocks. I gotta admit, this is what they would call a solo 2, basically a solo driver for 2 days. And that's at $18.50 plus the accessorials. So let's say even if they throw in, you know, if it's at 10% and it's another $180, you know, that'll put you at about $2,000, which is not bad. It's $1,000 a day. That's probably one of the better paid blocks I've seen. Anyways, so there's more team at $1.31. There's another block for $18.37. Another block. That one's cheaper though at $15. There's another team and more blocks, and they're getting cheaper. But it could be cheaper because it's all the way out to Thursday already. And so it could be that the blocks go up as they get closer also. I keep saying it, guys, the key to making money with Amazon is don't try to book yourself too far ahead. I know people feel like this way I have my guaranteed work, but you can see you're leaving money on the table just by looking at my videos, right? And so these are into Thursday, obviously really cheap. There is activity in Salt Lake City. You're just gonna have to be careful how you book. And there it's going down even more. See, now we're in Friday and they're at, you know, $13.33 for the block. Anyways, guys, I think that's all I had today. There were a couple questions that came up. See if I can address them real quick. Um, Dell, I did a video and I posted a link replying to you what kind of equipment I would buy for Amazon. I did a video on it, and there's a couple different ways you can work that one. Being that you're out there in that, San Antonio, San Marcos, Houston area, you don't really contend with hills. You're really lucky in that you can get some really tall gear ratios and run a relatively smaller engine. You don't have to run a 15 or 16 liter. I would look for something, in that 12 to 13 liter size. You could even do a 10 speed with 330 gears and get yourself something really fuel efficient if your focus is going to be Amazon, primarily because you're not dealing with hills. You're not grossing out at 80,000 pounds. You're going to be grossing between 40 and 50. And so even if you find a 9-speed, in reality, if you find a 9-speed and you can match that to like 400 horse and you get yourself, higher gear ratios, lower numerically, higher in tooth count, that would let you cruise down the highway at a relatively fuel efficient RPM relative to your speed. You don't need a big block, unless you're planning on using the truck for double duties and you're going to do other stuff with it. I know there's a lot of belly dump work out that way. I got friends that are out there and they equip their truck to run belly dumps, and in the season where they don't have work, they do power only with Amazon also, and they'll be the first to say, yeah, this is killing me with fuel because they're running a C15 Cat with the 13 speed and 377 gears, and it's just eating up all their fuel. But anyways, I put a link on your comment there, and that link should it should lead you to where I kind of described how I would spec a truck. And it was for you I did the whole San Marcos thing, brother. I hope that helps you. MA, yeah, I look different when I shower, and I hadn't shaved yet, but I got a haircut on the way home, and I've slept, so yeah, I imagine I do look a little different there. Yeah, that was my point exactly. Yeah, I don't know if I had. I just wanted to make sure I answered the questions that had come up. George, I did Salt Lake for you. Oh, the dry van. That's what I was forgetting. So, most dry vans are kind of the same. They have aluminum construction. Avoid what they called paneled walls. That's basically where they put plywood in the sides of the walls. You don't need that. Obviously you need to get sliding tandems. Honestly, mine are rental units, and they equipped it with the air valve that releases the pins. And it seems to me like, even though it's supposed to be convenient, it's kind of frustrating, especially when you're in the freezing cold temperatures, because the lines freeze up and then you're sitting here trying to get your tandems to slide and they won't. Honestly, even though it's a little bit more crude, I prefer the manual locks, like what Amazon has, because you go over there, you pull on it, they're loose, you push on it, they're locked, and it's just an easier thing. Most definitely get air ride. That's a must. If you find one that's vented and you start doing other work, some places do want you to have a vented box. And so basically what vented is there's a little trap door at the front and then a little one on the rear doors. And some places require you to drive with both of them open. I know when you haul onions, for example, if you leave them closed, the onions like develop their own heat, is what I was told, and they'll start cooking. And so literally you need to have those open so it ventilates. Avoid getting something over 10 years old because some shippers will not load you if your trailer's over 10 years old. I rented mine from a company in El Paso that was shutting down operations. Honestly, I found them through Facebook Marketplace. Check your local market, look through Facebook Marketplace. Um, Truckpaper.com is another good place to look, and that's how I found mine. I got I got kind of lucky. I'm renting 2019s and 2020 models for like 525 a month or something like that. It's not too bad. A payment would be a little bit cheaper, but at the time I really didn't have the cash to put a down payment, and I didn't want to jump deeper into debt. I was trying to find a way to generate revenue, not develop more debt in the short term. But anyways, guys, I think I'm gonna wrap that up. Oh, and David, well, I did a little Phoenix activity for you. Hopefully that kind of helps you in what you see there. In fact, because you are interested in doing that Phoenix, this is Uber Freight. And I think I had set it up to Phoenix. Well, I had it that way earlier. Uber Freight's been pretty good on rates lately. Um, so this very first one right out of the box is it's 4,800 pounds. Okay. It's going to Fort Worth, Texas, and it pays $250 a mile. That's that's not bad, especially for as light as it is. And so this load's going to Wilmer, Texas, 270 a mile. There's another one to Wilmer, Texas at 268 per mile. There's another one for 272 per mile. There's one from Flagstaff, which, you got to run to the north to grab that. But, if you're trying to get yourself to California, this is taking you to Lebec, which is like right on the bottom side of the Grapevine. Um, it's kind of like heading towards Bakersfield on the 5, but it's 334 per mile heading into California. Then you can grab a decent paying load leaving California. There's a load from Tucson to Denver at just under $3 a mile. There's a little short haul at 687 per mile. I don't know that I'd do that, but some people like those little short ones. There's a load going to New Haven, 225 per mile, $4,200. This is I'm going to say this is like a round trip kind of thing. I've not seen this before. Yeah, I think this is like an out and back. Oh, no, 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 no. I was misunderstanding that. Okay, so Tullison is by Phoenix. In fact, I've been to that Pepsi Logistics before, and you're going to Tucson. I get it now. Yeah, I think I'd pass on that. Pepsi tends to load you up to the gills, and then they want to pay pretty cheap. Um, I think I'd pass on that. Anyways, I figured I'd throw that in there because you're gonna make a bigger move than most, buddy. You're not only gonna move, you're gonna jump into a business and you're gonna move into a new market. That could be a pretty scary endeavor. I wish you all the best. I really do. If I can offer you any advice or support, by all means, reach out. That's a big jump for you. Anyways, as always, guys, thanks for watching. I'm gonna wrap the video up and get a little TV time in with the kids.